And we're live. Hey everyone, welcome to the Firehose Software Engineering Info Session. I'm Mark, I'm one of the founders and a co-mentor here, and I'm going to run you guys through our info session today. So before we dive in, I want to give you a bit of an overview of what we're going to cover and what I'm going to talk about here. Before I do so, remember that I'll go through you guys' questions after this is over. So if you have any questions, feel free to email them to me. A few of you guys already emailed me, which is awesome. Or also put them on the side in the chat next to the on the YouTube page, so I grab them from there as well. All right, what are we going to cover here? So first of all, I want to talk about why are we doing this, right? Why software engineering? What is this all about, and why does it make sense to go into a technical field like that? And then I want to talk about our program, talk a little bit about our info session. I know a lot of you guys are already on the info session, coding with us, getting your code reviewed, so I want to talk about that quickly. And then I want to dive into the full program and explain how we're doing this, right? What kind of apps you're building, what about the algorithms, what about mentor sessions, what about our Agile group project, and have you guys go through that experience with me. And I want to talk a little bit about job support and how we're going to actually help you transition into a new career. That's pretty much it. Let's dive straight in and talk about why are we doing this, right? So software engineering is, first of all, an extremely in-demand profession right now. Software engineering and web development and both of them are really in demand, right? There's hundreds of thousands of open positions right now where people are looking, companies are looking to hire people with those skills. So being at that point in this time right now is really, really lucrative. It's really, really good point because you're in demand if you have the right skill sets, and we're teaching you those skills. Now, the other thing which I personally think is even more important besides being in demand and having that career outlook that really goes up is building something that improves people's lives and being at the center of it, right? If you think about it, you can build something, you can create something that impacts a lot of people's lives. That is a real powerful feeling, and being at the center of it, where you actually write lines of code that create that product. That creation process is really powerful, and it's really talk about job satisfaction and job happiness, and that's what developers experience every single day because they build those tools one feature after another. That's pretty much why I think why we should do this, why this is such a fun profession to be in. Now, let's talk about our program, right? I said, let's talk about the intro course first, the first 2 weeks of our program. We use that for you to come in and get your hands dirty, get your feet wet with some code, build a portfolio page, showcase some of the code already, showcase who you are, and then also write some Ruby programs, write your first Ruby challenges, solve them, submit them to us. We review them. We give you feedback on how to refactor your code. If you get stuck, we have a forum where you can ask for help. Gives you a really good feeling for our online learning platform, for the Firehose platform, but it also gets you going and rolling. And if you do everything right, we accept you. We give you the thumbs up for your coding challenges. We accept you into the full program. You can choose your starting date right after the intro course. We start new students every Monday, so you can pick any date, be the next Monday, the following Monday if you're not completely packed out, or any Monday afterwards. And I think we allow about 4 or 5 months in the future you can use the book. So that's the intro course, right? If you're not on the intro course right now, go to thefirehoseproject.com and sign up for that and start the 2-week free intro course. And then if you need an extension, we can always give you an extension. Don't worry about that. But go in, start coding, right? It's all about action today, not thinking that I'm going to do something in 5 weeks. So start coding today and go to the intro course if you're not already in that. Now, let's talk about the full program, switch gears, right? So full program, I think I want to talk about these kind of 2 strands that we're having that moving in parallel. And one is the web application development that you guys are going to go through, and the other one is the data structure and algorithms. And those 2 are going to interweave at the end when we're at the Agile team project. So I'm going to talk first about the web development application kind of part, the tracks that we have there, and then about the algorithms, and then bringing them together and talk about the Agile team project. And I promise this will all make sense in the combined message of what are we going to do and how does this get you to be job ready, high impact employee. Now, let's talk about the web applications that we're building. So the first app that we're building is pretty straightforward. After the intro course, we're building a simple quote generator, taking a quote that a user inputs into a form, saving it in a database, and randomly displaying that on our page. We make that application mobile friendly, so it looks good on your iPhone, Android, tablets, laptop, desktop screens. And then it's a simple thing, gets you familiar with the Rails framework, use some Ruby, you use Git and GitHub for version control, and you push it live to the internet so you can share with your friends. Right? It takes about a week. Then we move on building the next application. What we do next is a Yelp clone. And that is a bit more challenging and complicated than the first app that we've built, but it's still, I'd say, a considerably simple application. What we're talking about there is basically we need to integrate with several apps, right? If you're thinking about Yelp, it's location-based, so we want to have pins on map. In order to do that, we integrate with the Google Map API, so we get the pins of the maps. We translate an address into longitude and latitude coordinates, pass that into the API, and get that pin back on the map. And then obviously, if we want to make this a fully functional app, we need to build additional features. So we use user comments, star ratings, we have automated email notifications, and there we'll build a user dashboard, login, log out, user registration, all of that is packed in there. So it's a pretty sweet app that we're building, and a lot of our students actually go out and customize those apps, right? We start with pizza apps, our favorite pizza places in the city. Other people make rock climbing, favorite meditation spots, relax spots in New York City, best tourist spots somewhere in East Asia, like all kinds of different things are coming up there. And that's kind of like that freedom that you have once you get a little bit of understanding of how to build web apps on your belt. You can start customizing it already. A lot of the students do that within like week 3 or 4 already, which is awesome. Now, then you submit that out for code review. We give you feedback on what you could improve, and then we're moving on to the next application. The next application is a two-sided marketplace. When I say two-sided marketplace, what we're building is an educational marketplace. So you basically have instructors signing up to your app on one side, and you have students signing up on the other side. And these students can purchase the content, the video lessons of the instructors. So if I say purchase, right, that's like a keyword that's really important, because that is a feature that we need to build. How do we process payments and credit card and debit card payments on our platform? To do that, we integrate with the Stripe API, yet another API that you integrate, and that allows us to actually accept credit and debit card payments. Now, but this is a two-sided marketplace with different kind of users, right? Instructors that create and students that consume content. So that makes it a lot more complex, because now we need to go through and actually build on a database level. So we're going to really deep into the database and actually build out these relationships and figure out who has access of the student side for what type of lesson, for what type of content. Have they paid for it? Is there a preview available? And then how does the money flow through our platform to reach maybe we want to cut as the platform owner, and then give a cut to the instructor as well. And so figuring all that out makes this app pretty complex, and that's exactly where we want to go, is like figuring out these database table relationships, which are really important to build anything more complex. So the third app that we're building. In next app, we go into test-driven development, right? Test-driven development, and I explain what that is in a moment, it's kind of like your bread and butter as a software engineer developer. We, as developers, need to write automated software tests to make sure that our applications are not broken, that our features are not broken. So basically, in essence, if we were to zoom out, what that means is, I'm as a developer, I want to make sure that if I build a new feature, it is working. And so rather than pushing it live so it's on the internet and then going and clicking around, pointing and clicking in my browser, I want to run an automated test that does it automatically for me, so I have confidence that things are working. And then if you think about, we have 1,000 features, there's maybe 20,000 tests running, right? Multiple tests per features. And I don't want to click around 20,000 times. I want to have this automated. And that's what developers are doing. And test-driven development is a step ahead, where we actually build a test first without the feature, have the test fail because the computer says, oh, it doesn't work because there's nothing there, then build a feature. And that's something that a lot of developers do. And I mean, almost guarantee that. I guarantee that, pretty certain that a lot of teams do tests because they want to be confident that nothing is broken when they ship new features. And so knowing how to do that is really crucial. And we do that by building an entire app with that test-driven development philosophy and that technology, that technique, knowing how to do that with you in about the second half of the program, or right about halfway point. So building that, then we'll build another app with you, and that's a JavaScript app. It's pure JavaScript, and we're doing that because first we're teaching you Ruby and Rails, so you build web application. We start teaching you slowly by being like, hey, Here's now a new user feature. Here's a bit of a user interface improvement that we're building with JavaScript. Now we're going into deep dive mode and actually build a JavaScript app from scratch with pure JavaScript. And I will teach you how to use JavaScript really effectively to build either your own application or actually integrate it into an existing Rails app. These are the apps that we're building. Now, in the beginning, I said there's kind of two paths that go in parallel and then kind of interweave together. The other one was the algorithms and data structures, right? So what does that mean, algorithms, data structures, right? We start you off really simple. So if you think about what you do in the intro course, and again, I just saw a few more people jumped into the info session. If you're not on intro course, sign up for the intro course. It's really helpful for you to get a head start and actually leveling up your skills. So if you think about what happens in intro course, we want you to solve some coding challenges, right? And so these, you can already think about very, very simple ways like algorithms. And then we move you up one step after another until we're all the way in search algorithms, sorting algorithms, stuff that gets really complex. And that's used in a lot of more of the advanced web applications. And we get you to that. But we do that in pure Ruby code. And on the other path, you go in to do the web applications. And then in the last 8 weeks, we bring those two together when we start the Agile Team Project. Now, in the Agile Team Project, right, why are we doing this? The Agile Team Project is basically the real world mirror of what happens when you're out there on the job, right? There's a saying that the best applications in the world or the best products in the world are built by amazing teams. And we want you to be part of a team while you're still in the program and get that real world experience while you're coding with us. So what does that mean, right? We're building something really advanced and something that's more advanced than the JavaScript app or the two-sided marketplace or the Yelp clone, what we've done before, right? So what we're building is a chess game inside of a Rails application. Now, a lot of people usually say, oh, come on, Marco, a chess game, that's not that exciting, right? And I usually say well, actually, it is really exciting, and here's why, right? So we have about over 100 mentors on our platform, all senior web developers, senior software engineers. So we ask them, what gets you excited when you see that somebody built that, when you consider them for a position in your company? And they were like, back and forth, well, something gotta be more complex, definitely gotta be more complex than what we're teaching here is a Yelp clone, right? And I was like, how about a chess game? And then they were all like, that is actually really interesting because it's really complex to build. Because if you just think about the rules that we need to check for on a chessboard, in a chess game, is really complex, right? So we're thinking about how do we automatically detect for checkmate? How do we make sure that there's something called the castling move, that gets enacted properly and the rules don't get broken or violated? How do we move all the figures across the board, right? So there's a little bit of game, there's a lot of logic, a lot of algorithms, and that all needs to work in a web application where a user can sign up and play against each other. And that makes it so that if you talk about that, it's actually impressive because I, as a professional developer, our mentors go like, oh, there's so many different ways we could go about doing that. And then you have discussion on a technical level, and that will set you apart so much from somebody who doesn't know how to build something this complex big time. But what's even more important is that we're doing this as a team, right? And so if we know that in the real world, everyone builds applications part of the team, it's not valuable if we build 10, 15, 20, even 30 web applications by ourselves. What matters is, are we a high impact employee from day one, yes or no? And that's what I want to know if I'm a technical hiring manager, CTO, VP of engineering. Can I put you on a seat and you know how to work together with my team on day one, right? And if yes, that's a huge benefit. And if we do this for 8 weeks together with you, you know how to do that. So that way you can prove like, hey, look, here's how I coded together with my team. You can talk about it in a technical interview, and you learn that. You learn how to do code reviews. You learn how to actually write your tests. You know how to write business logic, integrate algorithms into your web application. And you know how to react to feedback on your code and then how to improve your code. And you can show that off before even an interview by going, here's my coding portfolio, and you can see a very precise example where I built a really advanced feature, integrated that into a Rails application, and you can see my algorithms, you can see my tests, right? Think about test-driven development and software tests, how important that is. You can see the feedback that I've got during code review, and you can then see how I reacted to that feedback and how I improved my code. And that's like the cycle of a developer that you go through every single day, multiple times, or sometimes for bigger features take a little longer. But that is exactly what I want to see before I hire you. And I'm not, that's a high impact employee, and that's why we're teaching you that. So again, right, we have the web application development strand. We have the algorithms and data structures. They come together and meet when you're in a group project, and then you learn how an advanced application is built as part of a team, right? And during that team project, you're under the wing of a VP of engineering, CTO. That's one of our mentors, and that's outside of your one-on-one mentorship sessions that you have. And that person will run you through and will run you through that project the same way as they would do with a team at their work. So that's like the crucial, I think, difference of you learning, getting a lot of experience and applying all this knowledge. Now, that was pretty much a lot about the full program, right? So now let me tie that in and see how does that actually apply to like landing a job, and why is that so important, right? And I already said that. That group project is really what makes you stand apart, and that's also something that you can use, right? But then there's obviously, we do interviews, mock interviews with you. You can do that with your personal mentor. You can do that also with other students if you want. We review your resume. We tell you exactly how to position yourself as a web developer pushing new in. We tell you where to find the jobs, how to find the jobs, how to best apply the strategies there, how to network. We have a new job hunt track coming out. I think it's 50-something lessons. I was just told about that yesterday because we're working on that. That's going to go live really soon. And then actually we have some really exciting partnerships coming up there too. So can't tell too much, or the marketing people are like, come on, marketing, spill the beans in your info sessions. I'd love to, but we have that coming up too. And that's going to give you a deep dive as well, not only into design, but also like how to brand yourself as a developer and position yourself. So we help you a lot with that too. And most important is like your ability to write code and algorithms and execute them on a team project. That will really like distinguish yourself from like other people who go through and say, yeah, I built 10 applications. Like, I don't know how you built those. Did you follow a tutorial by yourself? If you can see how you built something with a team, I know that you built that and you went through the same workflow we do in a company in the real world, and that's really helpful. Okay, let's see. Do we have any questions? Oh, I have here one. I get this a lot. Is why are we different, right? That's something like a lot of people ask us, and I think it's a fair question. It's a good question. I always like to answer it. So I think there's 3 reasons, and I think I said that last week too. So first one is the depth of the curriculum, right? If you're thinking about, talked about the web applications, I talked about the algorithms and data structures, you don't really get that combination of both that are interweaved, right? And the one thing that I always want to point out too, we engineered our curriculum to make things click for you, right? We had hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of students go through our program. Before that, we had hundreds of students in the classroom, and we understood precisely how people understand and learn complex technical material. And so from that point of view, that's how we engineered our curriculum, and that means that we give you the right piece of content at the moment when you need it, right? So you're coding, you're like, oh, I don't know how these 2 pieces fit together. That moment we usually ping you and we go like, hey, you should watch this overview session right now, and we'll actually explain how these pieces fit together. And that's why our students are progressing at such a fast speed. But depth of the curriculum, why we're different, right? Depth of the curriculum, algorithms, the web applications, and then the Agile team project. And I think that is huge to landing a job. And then also another point is our web developers, right? We have our mentors, right? These are senior web developers, senior software engineers on our platform. They come from places like Shopify, eBay, PayPal, Product Hunt, other Techstars, Y Combinator companies. And they have years of experience, and they take you under their wing. So each of those mentor sessions that you go to is basically you're at one level coding-wise, and it's a step equation up, and you start coding on a completely different level afterwards, because that's what they're for. Raise your game to the next level, and that's what happens in every single mentor session that you have. And obviously, there's another support system that enables all of that, right? If you're in the intro course, you know our Q&A forum. You know you can ask a question if you're stuck, and you get help super fast. And be it like just a simple missing comma in your code, or a capitalized variable name when it should be lowercase. Like these small things that trip you up and make you spin your wheels. We have our forum for that, so you never stuck really long, and you can also go to your mentorship sessions and be error-free and focus on deep diving and pair programming together with your mentor. And I think the last thing, not the least thing, is our students, our entire community, right? They manage several open source projects, right? We have regular lightning talks where students come together and teach about a technology or a topic that they're passionate about, right? With anything from technical, like continuous deployment, debugging tools for like some designers that go through our program taught about, here is how developers, you need to think about design, right? We had things about AWS, which we're also teaching a program, but that was even a deeper dive. We had talks about Docker, right? All the latest technologies, and that's what students love to teach, and they learn on their own, going through the program, trying new tools and figuring out how it works for them, and then giving that knowledge back. And you're always welcome as a student to sign up for Lightning Talk as well. The students build an app to organize all that, so that's really cool. And then it's also the constant talk and helping each other out in our Slack channels and our community pages. So that in our community forums. So that really is like the three things I said: depth of the curriculum, the mentor network, and the students, right? Helping each other out and being active and having that community. All right, let's go through to see if we have any other questions. Just looking around here. Oh, so how long have you been doing this? That's another good question. I just get that. We've been doing this for close to 3 years. We started out teaching, as I said before, a lot of in-person classes. So we've been teaching at Harvard Business School, Carnegie Mellon, Brown, RISD, Babson, University of Hawaii, I believe it. And we used all that knowledge from teaching web application development in a classroom at these top universities and put it into our online learning platform, right? And that's when I said again earlier, we engineered our curriculum to make things click for you. That's where this all came from that hundreds and hundreds of students that we taught in a classroom. All right, let me see if I got some other questions. Probably might some here. I always gotta like press a few buttons before I can see the live chat. Okay, Newer asks me, why don't you have an in-person or online immersive course similar to coding boot camps? So we actually, that's a good question. And we actually, our full program is pretty immersive, right? So it's like, you can code. A lot of our students code 40 hours a week, right? They meet with their mentor, they come to our office hours, to use our Slack channels, they use our forum to go through that. So they completely immerse themselves in it. You can use it right now. We have the 22-week option. That's something that you can use to totally immerse yourself. And we're never holding you back. If you go faster, we cheer you on. We enable the next lesson for you. We challenge you again and again, right? We have beginners, or I would say almost beginners, go through our program of people who coded just a little bit of coding background before, went through our intro course, did really well, went through our full program, and then landed a job. But we also have people go through our entire program with computer science degrees from MIT and Stanford, or people who already have professional experience being a developer for several years, go through our program, right? So we have a wide spectrum, and we customize our curriculum to what works for you and which skill level you come into it. So optimizing for the result in the back at the end of it. I don't know if this was the right. I'm not sure. Please clarify if I didn't answer this properly, but I'm not sure if 100% if I understood your question. Okay, another one. What companies are you currently partnered with as far as job placement? That's an interesting question, Valencia. So we have students all over the world, right? So if we go together with companies, then we need companies all over the world. We definitely have some companies that we can do, like we're looking at where our mentors are, PayPal, eBay, Shopify. We're looking where our students found jobs like Boeing, Qualcomm, Home Depot, and a lot of smaller startups as well. Upworthy one. So these are companies that we definitely have relationships with, that we can think about job placement. But what matters the most is that you have the technical skills. And us telling you, hey, you should apply here, here, and here, that's great. Or you can talk to the technical hiring manager here and here. No company will hire you just because I tell them to hire you, or anyone tells them to hire you. For web application, software engineering, they will always test you. It's the same way they will interview anyone else. They go through a technical interview, they maybe have you test work it, and you will go through that. And the only way you can go through that is by knowing all these skills, right? Having the skills, knowing how to work effectively as a team, knowing how to do algorithms for the technical interview, and also to implement more advanced code into any web application. So job placements always sounds good, but it actually doesn't really help you, because if I tell you, go to an interview in these 10 places, if you don't know how to interview, it doesn't really help you. So I have faith in you, and a lot of our students have been working out really well. If I give you strategies and teach you how to fish, rather than give you 3 fish, you're doing a lot better. We're focusing on teaching you how to fish, because that's replicable, and you can keep going, rather than asking like, it didn't work out by these 5 companies, can I now have 5 more? That's not the best strategy, in my opinion. If you want a job placement network where we be like, you should apply here, you should apply here, you should apply here, and you need that, then we might not be the best fit for you. But so far, a lot of our students really changed their life dramatically. So I think we could do the same for you as well. All right, let me see. Russell. That's awesome. I watched a bootcamp comparison video where one of your graduates, Steven, developed the on-delivery cannabis app. That was awesome. At what point in the program did you do that? So there's 2 different ways we can do this, right? So you can go onto the group project. You can also go onto the build your own application. Steven built that instead of going onto the Agile Team project. So if your main goal is to build your own idea, launch your own idea, then go and do that and tell us that up front. We won't put you in a group project. You can work with your mentor one-on-one and build your own application, right? Think about it as an entrepreneur track. Most people go in a group project, and you should tell people to do that, because that really helps you to not, if one of your goals is to land a career and switch, that really helps, and also really helps you for the entrepreneurial track. When Steven came on board, he was like, no, the only thing I care about is getting my MVP out the door. And it made sense for him. Maybe it makes sense for you as well, Russell, but you can definitely do it in the last 8 weeks. A lot of people do it in parallel. They put in a few extra hours and kind of do it as a passion project. One of our other students, what they built, they work as a nurse in a hospital, and what he did is he built a communication system for nurses, doctors, and patients for their hospital. And now this is used by several hundred people in a hospital in the first, I guess, trial, early access version, and it's working really well because he's actually one of the people using it, but he also built it. So that's stuff that comes out of our program, which I'm super excited about. Okay, let me check one more time. I think these are all the questions. Yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope, yeah, sure. Glad to help you out. I hope that was a good answer. I think that's pretty much it. Answered most of the question. It was super fun. I'll wrap this up at about a half hour. If you have any other questions, you just got an email from me. Feel free to reply. If not, as I said before, sign up for our free intro course, right? Have us help you get your code reviewed. And there's another question, Russell. Great, what help after the program, right? Okay, so you're going through our program, you're graduating, right? There's additional materials that we have for you that you need to go through, the job track that we're about to launch, and there's additional things that you can learn, right? And you also always have access to our platform. Then you also always have access to our community, right? So that means like our Slack channels, our Google Plus groups, our community pages. So you can use the Firehose platform as a learning platform. Then obviously if you come back, a lot of our students come back asking the community, ask us, ask their mentor, like, hey, I got this job offer, how should I negotiate? Is this a good company or not? You can always do that. Come back to us after you graduate. Never really graduating. You still have access and you get your questions asked and answered by your students in our community or by us as well. I answer a lot of students' questions as well. So I hope that helps you. So it's kind of like, if you need feedback on stuff, we can always help you with that as well. And oftentimes that's really helpful getting that perspective, either be it from your mentor who took you under her or his wing for 22 weeks and be like, this is a great company. I just looked at it. They look really interesting and their culture is really good. And I say that because of X, Y, and Z. So accept the offer or negotiate or renegotiate or position yourself in a different light to have more leverage negotiating. So that is something that we're always happy to help. Anyway, I think this is pretty much it, unless I get pinged by another question right now. Thanks so much for coming. As I said, sign up for the intro course, go through there. And I hope this was helpful to you. See you guys next time. Bye.